pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barbian.
Here.
Trustee Sell.
Here.
Trustee Unger.
Here.
Trustee Feckmeyer.
Here.
Trustee McFall is absent. Trustee Alette.
Here.
President Zabrowski.
Here, thank you. Regular looking for approval of minutes, regular board meeting, December 3rd, 2024, and special board meeting, December 6th, 2024.
I'd like to make a motion for the village board to approve the regular board meeting minutes December 3rd, 2024, along with the special board meeting minutes of December 6th, 2024. We've had them issued to us ahead of time and a chance to review them.
Second the motion.
Any discussion? Trustee Unger?
Yes, on the city-wise discussion that we had about the apartment rentals, just a quick correction. President Zabrowski made that motion, and it was seconded by Trustee Barbian. And I'm wondering if you could add the detail about President Zabrowski's direction to have the village attorney review it and to have Ryan Jonas review it. Please.
You guys all have to agree to
Yeah.
the amendment.
You guys good with that?
Mhm.
First and second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Barbian.
Aye.
Trustee Sell.
Aye.
Trustee Unger.
Aye.
Trustee Feckmeyer.
Aye.
Trustee Alette.
Aye.
President Zabrowski.
Aye. Thanks, Elaine. Citizens' comments, persons wishing to address the board are asked to state their name and address for the record and limit their comments to only one time and limit their comments to 3 minutes or 5 minutes if representing a group of persons. Citizens' comments shall be limited to a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Public comments shall be addressed to the village board as a body. Any questions or comments directed to any individual trustee or staff person will be deemed out of order. Please note the village board can only discuss matters listed on the agenda. It is open.
Certainly. I'm off of 60th Street, just north of Ramsey. And Mike here as well as my neighbor, he's been here. Basically Highland Apartments have now deemed that they wanted to charge $20 to park in their parking lot. It's actually Highland Lane right there. So what's happening is that people are finding it cheaper to park outside on our street, which is causing us to not have parking spots. It's supposed to be just on the west-hand side of Highland that they're supposed to park on, especially for overnight. What's happening is that they're parking over on the east side as well. That's just becoming somewhat of a problem. We have driveways, it's not that big of an issue, but unless we're having somebody over, guests, whatever, then we have an issue with them parking on that side. I think that the committee already said that they've handed out letters to the renters there, and the renters were supposed to follow that, no overnight parking, only on the west side, unless maybe for an overfill. That doesn't happen, no, they're parking on both sides. The big fear is when snow starts flying, you couldn't even get a car really through there, it's very small. So if you put a plow on that, I just see damage probably going to one vehicle or another, or plus we're just gonna only get one straight line of a plow job. They're not going to come back either afterwards. So some cars sit out there for days plowed in because they don't want to now do anything because now they're plowed in. So either way, there's an issue there. We've called the police when people park then overnight. They say they can't do anything about it. I said, well, this is kind of just already done by the committee here. You should be able to follow that. There's only 4 of us on that street, so maybe we get overlooked or something. I'm not sure if that's the reason, but at the same time, we might be small, but we should be overlooked, I guess I would say. Our taxes haven't gone down for any reason, of course. So I would think that maybe we could do something about it. Whether signage, I don't know what we can really do, because a piece of paper might go away when the next person rents there. Are they giving people that warning every time they rent? I don't know. So I don't know what the best bet would be. But maybe a little more police enforcement where if they give them a ticket, I guarantee you they get a ticket once or twice, they're not going to park there anymore. So that's basically what we're just kind of looking for. It's just some kind of solution to it because it hasn't been snowing yet, but it is going to be a problem then. Even when it does snow, I offer people to come park in my driveway while they plow out their area and stuff like that. So it's not, we're trying to snub anybody by any means. We just want to be able to have our own space for when we have people over. I have Thanksgiving dinner, and I have 30 people at my house for that. I have a big family. So then I kind of want that parking. It's not every day, but at the same time, we kind of would like to use it for that. We do pay our taxes, but I would like to at least be able to have a couple spots in front of my house, and that's not happening right now, so. He's charging $20 for somebody to park in there, and they've exited out all of the visitor parking. Well, so of course, everybody's gonna park on the street. It's cheaper to park on the street, so he's caused that problem. But you can go through there and see that there's 20 spots open. So what are we doing? He's just trying to make $20 more for every individual, so.
I have to stop you. It's been 3 minutes.
Sure, no
Apologize.
problem.
But I do need your name and address.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's Tom Wolf,
Okay.
and it's 6140 South 60th Street.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that to.
We usually have an alarm, but because this is down, sorry.
That's all right, thank you.
So I'm glad that Tom came along. Mike Kowalski, 6180 South 60th Street. There seems to be an unfairness there. There's 54 units on that side of the street versus us, 5. So you got this little half block of 60th Street where now don't have any visitor parking over there. It's just, it just is unequal. I don't know, the owner of the Highland Lane Apartments, he's profiting off of Greendale being a good neighbor so far, or us being good neighbors. To me, he should be providing more parking for his visitors, or maybe 2 spaces at least for each apartment that he's got there nowadays. I don't know what the regulations or the code was when those apartments were first built. It probably was to code, but things have changed now in the years that have gone by. And, well, it's just the unfairness. I don't know if we have to put signs up, or, personally, they all kind of bunch up on my end of the block, because that's where the longest curb is, I guess, the longest uninterrupted spot is. So every morning when I park out of my garage, pull out of my driveway, I'm backing out, there's a car right there. I'm afraid what's gonna happen in the wintertime or whatever. And there's another guy with a trailer that comes there. I don't know if that's even legal to constantly have that trailer. It's every day. He has a trailer on his car every day. That whole side of the street, you can maybe park 12 on that side of the street. And like I said, there's 54 units in there. So if everybody's gonna end up buying a parking permit, what is the parking permit for a 3-month permit? I believe it's $50-some. Well, if they're getting charged $60-some to park in their spaces. So if people wise up, they'll probably all be looking for parking permits, and there's just no parking available. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kowalski, the chief and I have spent a lot of time on this actually the past couple of days. I sent an email to you yesterday. Did you see that?
I did not.
Okay, check it out. We've come up with a plan here that I think will address a lot of what you're talking about.
All right, anyone else for citizens' comments? I see none, so I will close it. I'm going to ask the board, please, if we can move up the Citywise software and also the Greendale Entertainment in front of everything else to try to get those people out of here. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yes, I agree.
And we'll just go backwards. All right, awesome. Old business, item B, BOT 24103, discussion as to action on agreement with Citywise Software LLC for online rental housing listing service.
So at our last meeting, just a couple weeks ago, the village board had a discussion with Mr. Schmidt and Mr. Anzalone about the Citywise software and the proposal for an agreement on a rental listing service. The board requested the village attorney to review the agreement, which the attorney has, and came back with their comments and changes, which were shown red line in the agreement in the packet, which Citywise has agreed with. The village board also asked for the village IT director's thoughts on it, and the IT director is familiar with what this technology involves. It's creating a subdomain on the village's domain, so on greendale.org. It's adding in this case, apartments.greendale.org, but it creates a redirect to a different server where all the information is stored and maintained. So none of the information will be stored or maintained on any of the village's servers. It's a subdomain that points to their server where all the information is. So there's no, dangers to the village or any of its files because it is on a separate server. So those were the two reviews that took place. As a quick overview, the attorney made it clear that this would not be considering the village as a broker under this agreement. It involves removes some language regarding termination, and then it replaced language relating to public records with the standard language that our village attorney's office uses. So at this point, we have the agreement. It's been reviewed. Mr. Schmidt is here. If there's any questions for Citywise, and it's up to the board if you'd like to proceed with this agreement.
Trustee Lowe.
Last time you were here, you said that Greenfield and Kenosha, that they approved this and it was on their site. I did not see any link on their sites.
So we're still working on getting the finalized links, but it lives on their domains. So apartments.kenosha.org. With Greenfield, we worked together to create a .gov because it was our second one, and we were thinking maybe the .gov would be a stronger option. So we're still kind of fleshing that out to see if that's like a better path. We think primarily the best path is living on the domain itself, though, going forward. So they're both on the subdomain, and we're working to finalize like links off the site.
So I wouldn't have a problem if it wasn't on our site, but that's what you're asking, right?
That's kind of the critical
You want
piece.
us to promote you on our village website.
So it's to have it live on the village website.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the critical piece to make it successful, really, because that adds the credibility, basically.
Right.
Just to be clear, are you saying the critical piece is that on our website, it says click this link to get an apartment?
No, that's a good question. No,
Yeah.
that's not the critical piece. The critical piece is living on the domain. So what Mike was just talking about, where the subdomain redirects to us. So that's the critical piece, because that's what's going to give it the authority with Google. And that's why on Kenosha, for example, where we just did it on their active site, if you search for Kenosha Apartments right now, you'll see this is ranking right in the top 3 or 4 positions. On the Greenfield one, because we worked to get a new domain, we're still building up that authority and credibility. So it'll take another month or 2 to start to rank high on Google. But that subdomain is the really, really critical part. And Greenfield is in the process of adding a link to it on their site. It just takes a little bit more time. People have to go in and make changes on the active site. So it's a little bit of a different process. Does that kind of make sense?
Would you be fine not having a link on our site?
Yeah, we'd be fine with that. The key piece is just that subdomain.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that, like, subdomain. I just do not like to promote a business that's making a profit on our village website. I think then you have to say, okay, you can buy a house and just click this link and do MLS, like we said. It'll be like Angie's List, let's have a home improvement company on there. Let's have, I'm not comfortable with that at all.
And just to be clear, when people see it, they're not seeing it as Citywise. They're seeing it as Greendale.
Right, which is even
So that's
worse, 'cause it's not
that's the
us.
critical piece. Well, we're working with you, and we want to make sure it's running by you, and there's nothing on there that you're not going to be comfortable with.
That's what, I don't like that. I don't like it. That's my opinion.
Trustee Unger.
So does the agreement right now talk about a subdomain or a link? Because
Subdomain.
I was under the impression after the first meeting, there would be no link on our website.
Right now, there's nothing in the agreement about getting a link.
Oh,
It's
so
just the
then I'm
subdomain.
fine with that. If it's not on
Right.
our
And
website.
if you guys are not comfortable with the link, that we're okay with that.
No, that's different.
Right, so,
It's not what I understood.
okay. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure the
Yep,
agreement.
total clarity. There's no
Okay.
link in the agreement.
As long as it's not on our
Okay.
websites, like, promoting an apartment, and like that we're vouching for this company, I mean, I'm fine with that.
So, you've talked to Kenosha, Greenfield, Greendale. That's
And
it?
actually, literally, Dominic is not here because he's having
Yes.
an identical meeting in Oak Creek right now.
Oh, okay, because I was going to ask where he was.
So he's presenting at Oak Creek.
Okay.
That's why we had to split up tonight.
So, across the United States, you've only talked to,
We're in talks with a lot of people, but
Okay.
official finalized contracts, right now it's Kenosha, Greenfield, and then
And
what
then
you're
this
proposing,
proposed,
and then
okay.
Oak Creek as well.
so the revenue that could be generated for our village is 20%. I would like to see that increase to 25, since you're trying to get the ball rolling with the municipalities. You've been successful with universities. I feel like we're somewhat guinea pigs here, so that's where I stand right now. And I just want to ask Manager Hawes, Mr. Anzalone? is that-
Anzalo.
Yep. He had said you can cancel anytime, take it down within an hour. Is that what this agreement says? I mean, does it pretty much say that it can be taken down?
Well, let me just double check the verbiage.
Oh, okay.
Probably doesn't say
Like-
hour.
It's,
Yeah.
the cancellation's in there for any time, any notice.
Okay.
We can, if there's not the within 60 minutes, we can certainly add that, but there's no like 30-day out or 1 year
So
out. or
pretty
anything.
quickly.
We will take it down immediately, yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, I just want to make sure, so if that's the case, that we have the ability to, we can on our end, turn it off. It's just,
Okay.
it's just it's still our subdomain,
You could,
And
you
we-
could kill the C name,
so we'll, so we.
but by all means, we would, if you told us you wanted to take it down, we would take it down.
We have control.
Yeah.
And Ryan, Jonas, my one concern was about the IT, and Ryan reviewed it, and he's good, as I saw.
Yep, we are in control of our domain, greendale.org. We can create the subdomain. We can delete it if we need to.
Yeah, I like this platform just because I've seen what you guys did with the college pads, and getting in on the ground floor is kind of exciting. And because my understanding from Dominic is that you're not offering revenue sharing in perpetuity, it's just for the first.
It's right now, once we have 5, 6, 7 of these, I mean, if
Yeah.
by the end of, tonight, tomorrow, we're up to 4, I might start to change where we're at with things. There's other places that we think will be along with this. There's kind of that domino effect, right?
Yeah.
Once we have 4 places around Milwaukee County, we think we're going to be able to continue to kind of change the way this is done. And the whole goal here is really to kind of create something that's empowering, renters. We
Yeah.
were just speaking with a city the other day that was talking about, they have a really high application fee problems. Like a lot of places are charging $100 for an application, and is there anything, maybe we could get that information on what the application fees are everywhere, and we could flag, this place is out of the ordinary. It's $100, most places are $50. So using the information that we're getting for the sake of the renters, because right now, in the private market, a little bit of the wild, wild west, and it's really, everything is built with the landlord in mind. And we want to build something with small landlords and renters in mind. So that's the entire goal here, is to help those two groups.
So because we're not doing a service, but it's making it easier for renters to find a bigger array of products. I like that, and I like that as we continue to try to find ways for new revenue, we don't know what it would be, but it's, something, hopefully material, and if not, and we don't think the risk is not worth the reward, we can always just cancel it. So I don't really see the downside of doing this if Ryan Jonas says he's okay with it.
Yeah, and I even went on Greenfields and looked at the apartments. I mean, it's super cool.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not throwing up any random stuff. There's human beings looking at all this stuff. So there's, in terms of the risk of like, is this a scam or is that a scam? I spoke to another city that using like Housing Link for affordable apartments, that thing is not really monitored, and people are putting up fake things and getting, deposits from people. This is like, we have human beings talking to these people. So we're building relationships with the landlords. We're making sure we're vetting everything. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to do.
Trustee Feckmeyer?
I mentioned this at the last meeting, that my concerns are that there's so many houses being bought up for rentals in Green Hill, especially the originals, especially the side-by-side originals. That bothers me a lot. And I think this will help landlords as well. So maybe make it more even, a little more attractive for landlords in Greendale, because it's already very attractive financially in Greendale. But I do like the new source of revenue, like you said. The fact that we can cancel it, see how the revenue goes, see what it is.
And to your point, if we're working with code enforcement, for example, there's nothing that we couldn't do to put a little badge on that says like this property is locally owned. So we could highlight places that are local, we could highlight places that are not local to give renters. Some renters may feel the same way you do, where they want to rent from people who are going to be nearby. They're landlords that are going to be in the area. It's the kind of thing you can highlight when you're like working with these various data sets.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
I like that too.
Yeah, and then we can, like you said, we can cancel at any time if it's not working for us, because we are a little bit unique.
Trustee Lett?
As long as it's not a link, I like that. I do like the 25% would be definitely a lot more attractive. I don't want to encourage absentee landlords. That's a big thing, and this would help landlords rent it easily, so that is a concern too. Just throwing it out there.
Trustee Barbian?
I had concerns of trustee Olet also, originally about people seeing it as Greendale, that see that where we vetted everything and that we're supporting it, so it's just what you're talking about, face right. I don't know, it should.
As long as it's not on there.
Do you have room on going to 25%?
Yeah, we could go to 25%. We can make that change in the contract. We're comfortable with that.
Can you go 50?
We have limits.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the proposed agreement with CityVise LLC with the revisions recommended by the village attorney's office, just changing the percentage to 25%.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
And I've just noted, we're not going to put a link on the website. We're going to use it through the subdomain.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Barbian.
Aye.
Trustee Sell.
Aye.
Trustee Unger.
Aye.
Trustee Beckmeyer.
Aye.
Trustee Olet.
Aye.
President Zabrowski.
Thank you.
Excellent. So what do the next steps look like then?
We'll get the agreement cleaned up, updated with the 25%, circulated for signature, and then I think we just need to meet to discuss how the rollout goes.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Well, again, thanks, everybody. I appreciate your consideration. I appreciate your feedback on everything, and even to that last point, we're going to get new ideas, and we're going to continue to make this really a great thing for everybody.
I do think if you did that locally owned badge
Yeah.
thing for all your cities, I think that's huge.
I mean, it's because we come to stuff like this, like we can learn that kind of thing, and that's what's going to make this successful, is like working with the communities, and that's what we're trying to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
All right, next new business, item A, BOT 24107, discussion necessary action regarding a request from the Greendale Entertainment Association. Oh, is this what we're doing next?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. To raise funds to install
According to you.
additional 10 acres in a municipal parking lot. Tony. All yours.
All right, so, podium?
Not break anything, we just got it up and running.
Can't promise that.
It's not switching over.
Not working? It's all right. It won't
Still
kill
here?
me. No, I'll wing it. There we go. Who am I? Why am I here? Tony Novenska, Greendale, 6715 Dahlia Lane. Greendale Entertainment Association Vice President and Co-Chair of Village Days. Why I'm here is GEA is very concerned regarding Village Days that we're being asked to move permanently from the municipal lot moving forward. GEA has built something very special over the years, and we're very proud of it. In fact, over the past year, I've made it a point to talk to as many citizens as I can about this specific potential problem, and I haven't found anybody that really wants us to move. So I am, the biggest reason for our success, I believe, is location. And so I'm here today on behalf of GEA to formally and urgently ask permission to stay in the lot, as well as convey a further improvement that we'd undertake should we be granted that particular location. This is going by itself. Since 1994, we've spent over $45,000 on infrastructure. This includes many electrical improvements, including special portable electric outlets for food vendors. This makes the overall look and feel very different of our festival. GEA does not cook the food that we serve, so we have special electrical apparatus for all the food truck vendors that we hire, which we charge them a fee. That particular type of electrical infrastructure would not be available to us in Gazebo Park. We also did permanent tent anchors for the band shell, and also I want to touch on a hot button issue, parking. There are 109 spaces in total. There's 26 businesses that can access that parking lot. So the total spaces per business is 4.1 per business. If Village Days is an all-hands-on-deck kind of weekend, like I've been told by most of the business owners, then GEA is not really taking any parking away from festival patrons. What we're doing is we're inconveniencing the employees. We also offer a free shuttle to take patrons to and from the high school to try to alleviate the parking concerns. Let's get back to the permanent tent anchors. What exactly are they? What they are is an 18-inch tall piece of stainless steel, industrial stainless steel, with a cap on the top that is about an inch deep and about 3 inches across. Inside of it is a very strong, sturdy stainless steel ring that gets countersunk 1/8 of an inch under the pavement. We did 13 of them for the band shell, and parts and labor for that was $3,750 for 13 of them. The advantage to permanent tent anchors that they allow for permanent solution that's strong, reliable, and instead of pounding stakes into the ground. Pounding the stakes into the ground is a bad idea because it causes spider cracks and eventually ruins the parking lot. And we had a lot to do with that last time, and we don't want to see that happen again. The second reason is it reduces setup time and labor costs, because reducing the tent stakes, you don't have to go with pounding stakes in for the tent every time. It's a lot easier to set up. And last but not least, it's safe. You can walk, bike, snow plow, and go right over them in the off-season, and you're not going to trip anybody up. So this is a visual, so you can't see this. So what we would like to do is bring back our 60 by 60 main beer tent. It is in the south edge. It would be right across the street from J&J, parallel with the hose tower and parallel with Parking Street. We need to bring it back, the main tent, and why? Number one, it's ideal in size for both sun and rain protection versus the 20 by 40s that we're using right now. Number two, the tent openings are 12 inches higher, so it's better sight lines to the grounds as well as the entertainment that we spend a lot of money on. And a 60 by 60 tent configuration is the most universal size for any tent rental company, so we would not be stuck with just one vendor. If Charnecki went out of business, we could find this with 10 other vendors because it's such a common size, if you will. So the final, in conclusion, the 60 by 60 tent layout, we've done an estimate. It needs 32 tent anchors versus the 13 that were for the band shell. And extrapolating out from the $3,750 that it cost for that, and for a little bit of inflation, the total cost of the project would be $10,000 to $12,000. With the caveat that GEA is not asking for the village for any money. We're not asking the taxpayers for any money whatsoever. This would be 100% corporate sponsor funded, and we would not move forward with the project without 100% of the funding to move forward with the project. So in conclusion, I strongly ask that GEA be allowed to stay in the municipal parking lot and not be forced to move over to the gazebo. Thank you.
No, go ahead.
If you have questions for Tony, take that first.
Didn't know if you wanted to talk.
I will, but.
Any questions?
So this is for the beer area, the bar area?
Yeah, it's the exact same tent that we had 2022 through 2019, because 2018 and back to about 2006, we had a 80 by 60. That was too big and too expensive.
And what are you using now? You're using the 20 by 20s that you guys help purchase for?
20 by 40, yes, 20 by 20s to make 20 by 40s, but we actually use two of the 20 by 20s for the VIP area for class reunions, and we rent 2 of the 3 from Charnecki. And If we get rid of the two, it becomes about a $500 wash, basically, to do the 60 by 60. And the other thing too is aesthetics. It is for aesthetics as well, but you can't block down anything bigger than a 20 by 40 tent, engineering wise, because of wind shear. It's very dangerous to block any larger tent.
So this rental, switching to this and renting the 60 by 60 is only gonna cost you another $500, except for obviously the anchors. That's gonna be,
It's a net of about plus $500 to have the 60 by 60 versus the two.
rather than what you're doing now.
Yes, but that's really not the issue. The issue is having a festival grounds that's easier for us to work with as well, easier to set up, easier to tear down, and less labor costs. So,
But I'm concerned about money because you know, you guys have said many times it's hard to turn a profit. Obviously, we're hoping making that a little bit easier.
well, that's
moving forward.
that's exactly why I want to focus on the $10,000 to $12,000 being raised by a corporate sponsor, not by, obviously not the taxpayers and not the village. It would be 100% on us. And the project wouldn't go forward unless we.
Yeah, you can't rent the tent unless you have the anchors, but
Correct.
I'm just saying, you're only adding $500 to your bottom line because it is difficult to make money if the weather's bad or whatever. I just want to make sure that
That's true. That's true.
you're not having issues.
That's true.
with the
But
profit.
that also, with a larger tent and less open air, less people flee if it rains a little bit too.
Yeah.
So,
I see the aesthetics, it's way nicer looking.
especially if they know it's there.
My opinion on this is, if you guys want to raise the money to put the anchors in, by all means, thank you. That being said, I don't know that we can say permanently we're going to have it back there. I don't care if we have it back there for the next few years, but if we end up in our capital improvement projects, in our 10-year plan, we have some major improvements we're planning on doing to the gazebo area to kind of think of moving everything over there, including, permanent bathrooms and whatnot. So once if that's all done, then at that point, we might want to move it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why we're both here to talk. Yeah. So, anything else?
Trustee Unger?
So you still require DPW staff time to put up these tents, or does the rental company put up the tent?
Rental company puts up and tears down the tents. The only tents that the DPW put up is the tents that we physically own, which are 5 20 by 20 tents in the configurations that we request that they can do. And that requires them to bring the tents over, set them up, and then block them down.
Can I ask a question of Director Damask?
Go ahead.
You ready?
Ready.
So there's no concern with these anchors causing problems with the newly poured asphalt in that parking lot, freezing, thawing?
Like Tony said, we already have
We already
a
have
handful
13
of them in there, and we had no issues with them.
Okay,
One future consideration would be that when that lot needs to get maintenance, they're going to be gone. So
Oh.
they're not going to be able to mill around these small anchors. So at some point, 10, 15 years down the road, that road or that parking lot did not get completely reconstructed. As you can remember, that was just surface, that wasn't surface paving. That was just binder on there. We went over, we did base repair, and then we did surface paving. So the longevity of it is not as long as a normal road would be.
Oh.
Then again, it is a parking lot. It doesn't see as much wear and tear as a road would. But I would fairly say 10, 15 years you probably have out of it. But that investment would be gone when they have to mill that road up, or the parking lot.
Trustee Barbian?
Yeah, I would like to, since GA started, they've put money back there in electrical and just all improvements that they've done. And for us to ask them to move without giving them partial reimbursement for the electrical and for these anchors, that we're making a decision I don't think would be appropriate by us. I mean, they're all set up there. It's been working very nicely back there. I hear what Tony's saying, so.
To kind of I'm Mark Yanish with the Greendale Lions, representing the Lions tonight. To kind of echo on that, I know that the food truck situation is different than what we do over at Gazebo Park. We use the electricity that's in place right now, and we bring it to the edge. And we do that with, we go through, I don't know how many pounds of LP, but quite a bit, several hundred pounds of LP gas to run all of our fryers, to run our grills and everything else, to run some of the things that the Legion runs as well. And we bring, even with that, that burden off of the electrical grid over there. We bring that grid to its edge. There's not a lot of extra amperage to go. When you bring in the food trucks, you don't have the amperage to match that. So that's one thing, just sort of echo what Tony has to say. On behalf of the Lions, we're looking at that site because we've used it, as you know, for a full-blown festival, but we wanted to pull back and do Rummage on the Green with the help of our Mr. Greendale here. Spirit of Greendale, Herb has been running that for a long time and does a great job. And we've already started working on how this can look for us this year at Gazebo Park, where we would expand it into our bigger format. We know that it'll be a better attraction for Village Days. It'll help draw people and things like that down by us. We're looking at incorporating the food vendors from the Green Market into that format. If GEA is going to be moved over to Gazebo Park, we'll be back at Daffodil Park and we won't have room for the food vendors. We're not going to be nearly the draw that we could be to bring people down here and have a great Village Days experience. Last meeting, we were given the word that everything was good to go with our expanded version of Rummage on the Green as a full-day event at Gazebo Park, and GEA was good to go at the parking lot. Nobody blinked when Tony said, no, we're going to stay at the parking lot, and everybody nodded in agreement up there that we could tell. There was not an objection to keeping GEA where they were. So we were awful surprised to find in the board packet that there's concerns about that, because those concerns have a ripple effect on us. The other concern that we have is we always work with the American Legion, hand in glove, and giving them a site and helping them with their end of the festival, money-making, community involvement, et cetera. If we move back to Daffodil Park, it's going to be harder. I'm not sure how well we can really incorporate even the Legion, let alone much more than, what little thing we could do there. Unfortunately, the Legion's not here to comment, but I am sure that they would rather see us all move forward at staying where we are, which we would not be able to do with the way that the wording of the board packet was. And by agreement, the Lions do have right of first refusal at Gazebo Park. And that's just something else to consider. We did help fund the gazebo and the improvements at that park. And that was in exchange for having that right of first refusal for the festivals. So I think I've hit everything on my list here. So I just wanted to sort of voice our own view to protect our own interests. And the idea of having the expanded version of Rummage on the Green was part of our interests. So I wanted to make sure that was out there and on the table and in front of people as well.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
any other questions for any?
I know Rod has something.
I just want to say you were correct. Everything was approved for 2025. We're looking at future years for 2026.
I understand that, but the impression that we were given at the meeting is that, hey, we're all set. This format's going to continue going forward. Nobody at that meeting gave us the impression that it was 2026 was a hard stop. I never got the impression that 2026 was a hard, so that after 2025, that was a hard stop for GEA to be over at municipal parking and moving them to Gazebo Park, which would move us out of Gazebo Park. There was nothing at that meeting that gave us any inkling that that was really on the table.
But I will mention, so nothing at that meeting was mentioned about an additional $10,000 to $12,000 investment in the parking lot. And so that's where I told Mr. Novitska, the village board would have to approve that level of investment. And from a staff recommendation, we believe long-term, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, whenever the board, we believe long-term, the events are better held in a more centralized, consistent location, so we can address them more efficiently from a village services perspective, but also to utilize that parking, understand, maybe it's mostly employees, maybe it's nearby residents, but there's still people that need to park around here. And so why take away 110 parking spaces from a downtown when you don't have to?
Yeah.
Why not save money on village services when you have that opportunity? So that's where we said, and this didn't come up last meeting, $10,000 to $12,000. So that's where we said, let's go to the board, have a discussion, because long-term, it may not be the best idea.
But
Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at
one of, to sort of echo what was said a moment ago by Trustee Barbian is, then there's going to have to be something going on at Gazebo Park to upgrade that electrical to their standards, to replicate what they have over there. There's already a pattern of our festivals at Gazebo, their festivals over at parking. So it's not like it's a new thing. I mean, these guys are used to it. The thing that'll be different this year, which will also help the parking, we're not going to be bringing in Bella Cane during Village Days. We're not going to bring in anybody near that level. In fact, we'll be shut by 3 o'clock. So the reason that parking in the last 10 years has gotten bigger, as both festivals have gotten bigger, ours in particular really bigger, is that brought down a lot of additional people at night looking to park. And there won't be as many people at night looking to park when we are shut down and there's one main stage instead of 2 main stages.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to glom onto here. When they had a band that drew 6,000 and we had a band that drew 5 to 6,000, it doesn't mean that all 11,000 people are going to come to see the one band that we have. Because Milwaukee is full of what I jokingly refer to as musical zombies. The people that go see Bella Cane, like every weekend. And they don't necessarily go see Almighty Vinyl or The Now or somebody like that. So if we might get 1,000 more, but I don't think we'll have the descendants of locusts at 12 and 13,000 people like we did for both.
No, that's not going to happen.
Trustee Sell.
I just want to say, I totally agree that if we do in the future, as the board, ever want to move everything to the gazebo, there would have to be an investment in the infrastructure, for sure, on the village's end. And that's why I said earlier, I only would see us requiring that it be moved if there were a substantial capital improvement made to that park.
Right.
It's where it would work for everybody.
Right. That's true.
So.
Yeah, it would still deprive us of a space.
Yeah,
to expand
we have to figure it out.
And so that, we would be deprived of that.
Yeah.
But I guess I'd hate to be at the point where we're willing to make those investments, or we think this is a good idea, but it continues to be held over us but look at this investment that was made there, because that's what continues to come up now. Like, we can't make a change because look at all the investments that were made there before. Well, I mean, that was in the past. Why are our hands tied because of those past investments? I would hate that to continue down the line for forever.
Can I respond? Because it's infrastructure, and all those improvements were made for the good of the future of the festival. They weren't made in one time. They were made between 1999 and what's the latest one? Well, the tent anchors in 2022. So, but it totals about 45, just shy of, it's probably $47,000 now, but about $47,000 of continuous improvements to make sure that was the best site possible. That's why we did it. I mean, so I think it's a little flip to look at it as, well, that's in the past. because it's really not. We built it all for the future. So, that's why I'm here. So,
Trustee Unger?
So I guess I was prepared to make a decision on tent anchors, and this seems to have morphed into so much more than that right now. We're talking about possibly moving GEA in the future to gazebo and infrastructure, and so I guess I am not ready to make a decision on the anchors right now, I guess, because I'd like to see how the 2025 events go with the Lions closing down at 3 and just in general, how they're going to go for 2025, because we don't have an events coordinator. Our village staff is taking on a lot of the duties. We invested in the bollards. I'd like to see how those work. We're going to put the downtown market at gazebo. I want to see what that looks like. So I'm not in a position right now to approve the tent anchors. I just kind of want to see what 2025 brings.
I was asking for just clarification of us staying at municipal parking lot. The tent anchors would be a byproduct of that. Approving the tent anchors would be moot if we're going to be forced to move in 2026. So I just wanted to do one step at a time and see if you would consider letting us stay in the municipal parking lot, that's all. Aside from that, I think we're.
Trustee Sell?
I was just gonna ask, like, if the board, if there's like some time frame we could agree on that will, approve that they can stay back there, like whether it be 3 years or 4 or 5, I don't know.
I would like to see a board report focused on that then. This is about tent anchors. I don't feel I can make an intelligent decision on that right now. I look at the cost of the events and, oh my goodness, they're so expensive to the taxpayers. And I don't know how much longer our budget can sustain that, so unfortunately. Would love to see more sponsors. I was looking again at 4th of July. There were 2 sponsors for 4th of July, including J&J, just 2. And I know it's hard to get sponsors, and volunteers. So.
Anybody else?
But we do a lot with our volunteers. And, we try our best to minimize what's happening with the village to make our festivals go. And we use volunteer work to do a vast majority of what happens there.
Ours is all of it.
I mean, they bring down the dumpster.
Yeah, I'm fine. I hear what Elaine's saying. It makes sense. But it's like, if you guys want to raise the money and spend the money, it's not, no cost to us.
Mm-hmm.
I could approve the tent anchors tonight. I think your issue is you don't want to spend that money unless you know you're going to be there for a while.
I don't even want to fundraise if it's for a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
It'd be silly. Why would we put them in to do one tent one time next year?
Right.
It costs us $12,000 for a year to do it.
And so I think to, both of your points, these are 1-year deals. These permits are, you request a permit and it's approved for that specific year, that specific event. And so, what we talked about for 2025 is a change in course and everything. And I think it's advisable to consider on a year-to-year basis. And I don't think it's advisable to promise promise 5 years or 10 years or whatever until, you approve this permit, see how it plays out, and consider it, year to year.
With a year-to-year approval, I don't know that some of the investments of time and money.
It makes no sense to do any form of infrastructure from here moving forward.
Well, I guess what you're asking for then is like a 5-year contract or 10-year contract, and maybe that's what you feel like you need, and maybe that's what we need to be talking about
Right.
then.
Well, that was my whole premise, to be in the municipal lot moving forward.
And I don't think this board has even the legal authority to do that, because all they do is they can approve a permit for one event in the absence of having an agreement for a multiple year thing. That's what you're asking for. But the way their legal authority is just a one-time permit per event. They can't guarantee.
Oh, I know. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying.
Trustee Beckmeyer?
But if we don't have a place where Village Days happens,
We would need some kind of like, some memorandum.
Yeah.
Of understanding.
I gotta just say, it's at least 3 years before any kind of infrastructure is gonna be done at Gazebo Park. Put it off another year for the bathroom thing and, funding and whatever, so that's at least 3 years. I like Village Days, I like the GA where it is personally, I like that location, but, I agree with trustee Unger. I would like to see what 2025 brings with the whole new concept with the Lions doing things differently, kind of back to what they used to do and the expanded sale on the green, the rummage on the green. I would feel more comfortable after the 2025 Village Days.
Trustee Barbian?
What we've talked about here, I like GA back where they are, since I was on it, and that's where it's been, but I don't see how we're ever gonna be able to, or try to move everything to gazebo without affecting the Lions and American Legion. It just is never going to work, we're basically saying, if we move that over there, one of these groups is not gonna exist in us. That's reality. If we force GA over there, put in the infrastructure, the Lions and the Legion will stop participating. If that's what's gonna happen. Or if we say, no, you gotta move, but we don't wanna impact the Lions, GA is going to go and say, forget it. I mean, that's what I would think, that's what I would do if I was still on it. I think that you're gonna be there a lot longer, from my perspective, than you think. I don't see how, I think we're gonna lose one of them. I just can't see how we can force it, because the infrastructure, as Mark said so well, over in Daffodil, you can't take Legion and Lions and throw them all over there, and then we have to also build the infrastructure, Gazebo Park. Yeah, we someday wanna put bathrooms over there, but, I mean, at the expense of what? Bathrooms already bringing porta potties at GA. It's worked fine. And there's an expense to the village. I hear what those Younger is saying, but that's a different issue than forcing one of you guys to not make your money to make it worthwhile to continue to these events. That's just my 2 cents. Actually, it's 4 cents.
I would like to make a motion to postpone this discussion to a future meeting.
I would second that.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Trustee Barbian?
No.
Trustee Sell?
Aye.
Trustee Unger?
Aye.
Trustee Beckmeyer?
Aye.
Trustee Olet?
Abstain.
President Sabrowski?
It doesn't matter, so, right? Doesn't, I don't even know.
Doesn't matter is not
It
an
does-
option.
It does matter, you need to go on record.
Yes.
What is it right now?
3-1.
Yes, I'm going to abstain.
I mentioned that because his business is directly affected by the event going on in the parking lot, he may wish to abstain because he owns the business next to the parking lot.
So,
Okay.
just, I know, we got an hour, but
No,
basically we want to wait until this Village Days and see how it goes, and then if we like it, we could talk about entering into some agreement to guarantee some duration, so they're comfortable with putting infrastructure dollars into it, right?
Mhm.
That's fair to say.
All right. Good for this year. We'll talk afterwards. All right, thank you guys, appreciate it.
thank you. Sorry it took up so much time.
That's right. Sorry.
Sorry.
We get to go home, you don't?
All right, let's try to get through this as quick as we can here.
I was gonna make a
Please.
motion to table it.
Table what?
Discussion on draft revision.
What else do we have?
We need that.
Okay,
All
right.
Hold on a sec. So, do you want to, we could do that after closed session as well.
So then we want to just do our citizens' comments? Last one, and then
Yeah, so you can move yeah.
let's do that. Okay. We are going to, because we just have standing committee reports and one other item, so we are just going to go to last citizens' comments right now, and then go into closed session, and then come back and finish off that other stuff afterwards. So citizens' comments, persons wishing to address the board are asked to state their name and address for the record, and limit their comments to only one time, limit their comments to 3 minutes or 5 minutes. If representing a group of persons, public comments should be addressed to the village board as a body. Any questions or comments directed to any individual, trustee, or staff person will be deemed out of order. Citizens' comments shall be limited to a period not to exceed 15 minutes. Please note the village board can only discuss matters listed on the agenda. Open. Yes.
Could we move BOT 24108 to our next meeting?
No, we can't. We have to do it now.
Oh, we're doing it now?
Well, after a closed session.
Oh, because that could be long.
What?
That could be a lot.
Citizens' comments.
Jeff Birmingham, 5601 Bramble Court. I just want to say Merry Christmas, everybody. Last
Christmas.
meeting of the year. It's been an interesting year. Our organization has accomplished what we wanted to do with help from the board, the staff, and everybody else. So I want to thank all of you and have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jeff. Thank you for everything your organization has done, too.
Joe Russ, 16800 West Shadow Drive, New Berlin, representing 559997 Basswood Street. Village Days. If it's not broke, don't fix it. It's been going, having set up tents back in my teenage years for a snowmobile club, 40 by 60 footers, numerous times in asphalt, such anchors would be a blessing. And I'm not sure how you would fit everything over in Gazebo Park like you want, and not have sound conflicts and everything else. Plus, in the event of rain, it's better to be on asphalt than grass. That's why Summerfest is now gone mainly asphalt. You don't have trouble with mud and other stuff. Also, I put these anchors in. Maybe you might want to look at letting other events happen in their smaller partial events than just Village Days. Maybe the school district would want to have something. Maybe some other entity would want to have something. But if the anchors are already in place, let them use it, maybe with a stipend going back to GEA to pay for them. But to me, that could be a multi-use area for just more than just Village Days. On another note, this will probably be my last year I'll be able to say this, but gee, not a whole lot moving on that Boston Store redevelopment, is there? Over in Brookfield Square, they're taking theirs down. We still see ours. And aside from one meeting over the summer that didn't tell us the name of anything, the marketing plan for anything, much of anything, it's been crickets. So, but somehow I'm not surprised, because that's what I expect. It's going on 4 years now. I'm waiting for something to happen at, at least be announced, formally planned at the Boston Store redevelopment. 4 years. Great success. Finally, at the last meeting, I spoke about my experience at the Board of Review I had. And apparently, many people didn't know about it, so I went through and what I was talking about, so I went through and sent all of you an email. Now you all know. Never had to do this before, but I requested then and I'll request again. I don't believe any taxpayer or resident should be swore at by an elected official during an official meeting, and that happened. I believe that individual that swore shouldn't be under censor, publicly censored by the board. Thank you.
Anybody else? Let's go. Okay.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Wolfgram. I live in New Berlin. I am the new Director of Inspection Services. I just wanted to come up here and take the opportunity to formally introduce myself and say hi. This has been the start of my second week, and I'm really excited to be here and just to say hi and good evening. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we're-
Thank you.
We're really
Welcome
excited
aboard.
to have you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Stay the whole time.
All right, anybody else? Public comments? I see none. I will close it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Wow, we had a closed session. Yeah. So the board shall convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.851C, to deliberate or negotiate the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public businesses whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically discuss redevelopment in the South of Jamal area and the fire union contract negotiations.
Motion to go into closed session.
The part that we're coming back.
No, so, Sarah? The agenda does not say that the board will not return to open session. So we have other business that we want to get to after the closed session. So, they can return to open session and. Right, they're not going to act on matters from the closed session, but they're return to the other business, the remaining item under new business, 24-108, which is not an action item, just a discussion item.
All right, sounds good. I'll make a motion to adjourn, or I'm sorry, go into closed session.
You already did.
Or you already did it? I'll second it. You already have it. Roll call.
Trustee Barbian?
Aye.
Trustee Sell?
Aye.
Trustee Unger?
Aye.
Trustee Brockmeyer?
Aye.
Trustee Alette? President Zabrowski?
Thank you.
We're going to hold a closed session in here.
Okay.
And they're going to hook up to these things, so we'll just need to, bring the clear, close the doors.